Hi guys, it's Blake McMaster here. In today's video I'm going to show you how you can create an awesome sort of slider for your website within the Divi theme or Divi builder. Now we're going to be using the Divi full width slider on this, so you get a nice slideshow that's the full width of the website, and just going to go through some of the options you have, how to set it up, and some of the awesome sort of design options you have to really customize it and bring it to life the way you want. So we're going to jump on the computer and I'll run through how you can do that. So let's get started.
Okay, so I'm just on my Creator Impact website here today. I'm going to basically create a new page, and we're going to start having a bit of a play around with the Divi slider. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to create a new page, although this isn't necessary. You can do it to an existing page, but for the sake of the video, it'd be good just to create a new test page. So I'm going to create a test page, and I'm going to go ahead and use the Divi builder to start building this page. We're going to start from scratch, and I'm going to X this. Now, if you have a fresh page and you want to insert a full width row, I generally just insert it afterwards, so full width row, and I'm going to add in the full width slider. And you can see we've got our slideshow here. I'm just going to tick that for a sec because I want to get rid of this row here. So at the very top of the page we have our slider. At the moment we've got white text and a white background. It's a little bit hard to read. So what we're going to do, we're going to go in, and this is essentially where it all happens. First thing I'm going to do, so we can see what we're working with, I'm going to go into the background here. I'm going to give it a background color like a dark gray. And this is essentially what we're looking at. So we've got the full width slider settings. In here is each individual slide. We can add new ones, we can duplicate these, we can keep going from there. But to give a bit of an idea, I'm going to start off with, try and figure out what I want out of the slider primarily, and then work on individualizing the slides themselves. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go into design here, and with the navigation you see we have dots and we have arrows. So if I go to the navigation, I have arrow color, dot navigation color. I can make them purple if I want to. I can just make them nothing and just have the arrows. And then same again with the arrows. I can sort of just have the dots and sort of hide the arrows. So we've got a few little basic options there with the color to essentially try to hide those bits and pieces. Now on the overlay, we can use a background overlay. Without images on here, it's not going to be a huge deal. We can't really see too much of a difference there. I'm going to scroll down. We'll look at some of these options. You can change some of your images. Obviously, we can change the text. Now, at the moment, the text it's pretty decent, pretty big, but maybe I want that title text to be a little smaller. So this will change the default across the board. And of course, I have all the levels here I can change, such as I can change the font to something completely different if I want to. So something like that, which, for the sake of the video, we might just leave that there. We can change the font from regular to bold, although that looks pretty bad, so we'll go back to regular. And we also have our mobile options. I'm going to do a video purely on mobile options for Divi, but one thing to be aware of is that anywhere you go, you have this option to turn on mobile options. I can go into my tablet mode. That looks good. I can go onto phone. I think that's a bit big. I can dial it back for phone users. So you have these mobile, sort of like these options from desktop to tablet to mobile you can play with for your text. And of course I can change the letter spacing, and of course the height, bits and pieces like that. Add a drop shadow. Now this is essentially all your basic settings. I want to customize that button. I want to turn off, say, the button border color, make it transparent, and maybe I want to make the button round. So these are the basic settings I want to start off with my slides, essentially. I can change spacing here, but we'll get all into that a bit later. So I'm going to go back into the content. First thing we'll do, I'm actually going to delete one of these slides. One thing I like to do, at least personally, it's entirely up to you. I like to create a basic slide and then just even basically duplicate that slide and change out what I want. So we've got our basic overall style set up. This section here, the slide, I'm going to click on the cog. I can simply, if I just head back up here to this arrow, I can even delete this if I want to and add a new slide that way. And it goes straight into the slide settings. So I'm just going to call this one slide 1 for the video with an exclamation mark. I'm going to have a button such as shop now. So maybe I'll just call this, you know, our awesome store. I can add some information in here. Now, at the moment, I've got text, so you can see these HTML tags. If you're not familiar with HTML, I recommend clicking on Visual. Just load for a second and typing in something there. We stock only the best products for your needs or something like that. All right, so we've got this here, we've got this, and that's our slide so far. And we simply keep going down. So image and video, we can pop a video in the background. So if you have a video file, you can do that. I'm not going to do that. Sort of recording of a video sometimes is a bit can be a bit not that fun. So I'm going to add an image here. Now I can go straight into my media library and choose something that already exists from here, such as this image. And that pops it in to the left. So that is actually something that sits alongside the slideshow. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm actually going to remove that because I was expecting that to be the background, wasn't thinking straight. But what I'm probably better off doing is getting something like, say, this logo here, which I use for my Photoshop PSD templates, and have that sitting off to the left. I'm going to go to my background here, and I'm going to go into the background area, choose a background image, choose that subtle background. You see now we have this slide ready to go. Our awesome store, we stock only the best. And one thing I've noticed is because this particular slide has a dark background, you can't really see the button that much. So I can go through to design and to button, and just for this one slide I can change the particular settings. So I might make the button text color black this time and the button background white. And I can go in and choose a color. I can make it a gradient, or I can even add a background image for the button. So I'm not too concerned about that. One thing I do want to do though is on hover, so this little mouse icon here, when I hover over that image, I want the background to be, say, like a blue, maybe a lighter blue. And I'll go back. So now when I hover over, it turns blue. So that's just a cool little thing you can do on an individual slide. So I'm going back to the content now, back to the background, because there's a few options here under the bitmap I want to explore. So if I scroll up and down, you see that bitmap just sort of stays there. But I can choose a parallax effect if I want to and have something a little bit fancier. Or CSS parallax, which just holds the image in one place. CSS. It's actually not adding the CSS for some reason. It's but anyway, you can get a parallax method there. The CSS generally holds the image in place. So when you scroll up and down, the image stays in one spot, and you can just keep moving around that way. So with that image, there's a few different options here. I can fit, so whatever size the screen is, so if I take this, it'll actually change the image to fit within that space. Most people probably aren't going to want that, but it might suit you. I'm going to go, we can have actual size, so the image just sits at its actual size. But cover is a pretty good one because at least the entire area is covered with the image and some areas get cropped off. So something to be aware of when you're putting images into backgrounds is that sometimes some areas are going to get cut off. Now the background image position, at the moment it's just in the center. So it just sits in the center, the top or the side will get chopped off. But if you've got really important image stuff in your image and on the left side, you can choose center left and it will align to the left. So if I resize this again, you'll see the left will actually follow along. Or if I want to change it to, say, the right or top right even, it now is aligned to the top right of the image, and I can move back and forth and that right area stays in place. But once again, I like center. If we want to, we can do fit and we can repeat the image, so it just repeats on the screen. This is good if you've got a small image and you want to put it the actual size. You can repeat it in various ways. I don't know how round works necessarily, but yeah, you've got a few different options there to repeat that image. In considering a slideshow, you're probably going to be working with images a lot, so it's a great thing to learn. Is just how the background images work and how to design or use those images so it is the most compatible it can be. So now the background image blend, I can actually change the blending. If I go back up to the color, I think if I make that yellow, I've got a yellow background color. I go back to the image. Because I have all these different blends, if it's normal, the image just sits there as it is. Multiply will actually darken it, the background behind it. Screen will lighten. That's why you can't see anything, because it's a dark image. You can go through and add these different overlays, which means that you can essentially have effects. So you can take colors from certain images and you can say pop a color underneath and it'll overlay that image and blend it with the background color. So you've got a few options to do that as well. What I might do for this video is actually just go in here. Maybe I'll make that blue color. So lighten it up a bit. And then we have our background ready to go. Now, moving on to the design. Now we have our basic design. This is the default layout. But what we can do, once again, we can have our background overlay. So I can have a red overlay over the top. I can make it semi-transparent. So you can pop a color over the top of an image if you want to as well. Which if using blending modes, you can probably get some interesting effects. But you're really probably better off trying to get these effects on the image itself. So that way you decrease your load time on your page. But the option's there if you want it. Turn that off. You can also have a text overlay. At the moment, we've got a black box around that. So if you've got an image there that makes it really hard to see, you can grab that text overlay. You can go in here, make it semi-transparent as well. Which isn't working at the moment. But you get the idea. There you go, semi-transparent like that. So a semi-transparent square. So good chance to check those out. Now a lot of these options are the same for here as well as the overall slideshow. You can see here it says slide settings. So it's only for the one slide, and the little arrow will take us back to the full width slider, the total settings. So that's how you can sort of work that out. Now we've seen the navigation with the image. We can align the image center or bottom. I don't know why you'd want to align it at the bottom necessarily, but if you have, say, an image that is cut out like a PNG, it has a flat bottom but cut out around the top, that can be useful for this. And you got a few things here like shadow. I wouldn't recommend using shadows on transparencies because you can see it actually puts the shadow around, if I make that 100% black, around the box of the image and not the transparency. But if you do have like a square image in there, you can do that. The other thing too is if you have a square image, you can circle that off. So if I just go back over here, grab this image, and I'll grab something a little squarer. This MailChimp logo. We've got this here. Now if I go into the design, back down to image, I can choose to round the corners. Now I can round it so we get a nice sort of subtle roundness, or I can really crank that up, so 500 or something like that, and get a perfect circle. And then I can go and add that background drop shadow. I can move it around a bit, and we get a perfectly round shadow. So that's something else you can do as well with this slideshow. And of course, we've got different properties for box shadow for the actual slide itself. So I might have an inner shadow, and maybe I make that shadow white. That's not really showing up. But you've got a few options here with the image. Oh wait, that's not for the box, that's for the image. So I've sort of sidetracked a little bit there. We'll go back to the black. So that shadow is for the image itself, and we want outer shadow. But we can change the hue of the image, like a lot of the other bits and pieces from before. Change the saturation. So you do have a lot of cool image editing capabilities in sense of color, opacity. You can sepia the image. You can also blur the image, so you get some pretty cool effects that way. So one thing you can do, if you want something really fancy, is click on your hover button, put on the hover, and blur that. So that way when you go over, it should technically blur it, although I haven't saved that for some reason. You sort of get the idea. But so you can play with some of these effects a little bit. Now text, as before, the text color is light. Maybe I want the title text to be yellow on this particular slide. Once again, we've got our drop shadow. And I've got a few other things for the button, sizing, so maybe I want the content width to be a little bit narrower, so it's in like this. I can set a max width if I want to. So maybe I want that to be 100, but I make the maximum width about, say, 500 pixels. And I can sort of just knock it up from there until I'm happy. 700 pixels. So now it doesn't matter how wide I make that, it won't be any wider than 700, but it can adapt within that space. And of course, we can add some spacing, padding, some space around those things. It's worth having a play with this yourself as well. Filters to go over the whole slide. We can also skew. We can change the slide. We can rotate it. We can change it a bit, rotate it around, skew it. There's all these weird and wonderful transformation options here. You can even move the center point. So you can do some pretty funky things with this as well, but I am going to reset that. Oops. Reset all of these settings. So we're happy. I'm going to hit the green tick button because we're happy with our first slide. So now I'm going to create a second slide by duplicating this one. I click the cog button and I change something else. So maybe I say read our blog. And this time I'm going to go down to and say read now. Now we can also can this image if we don't want it. So maybe we just keep it simple this time. What we can also do under advanced, transitions. We can have transitions, have it easy in and out. So that way when this particular slide comes in, it'll transition a certain way. So you do have some cool options there. But we've got our second slide. We want to change that background. This time I'm going to can that background color. I'm going to can this background image and I'm going to add one. This time I'm going to upload a file. All right, I'm going to choose this laptop picture here. And we have our little read our blog. I'm going to put parallax on this so when we scroll, it moves around. I'll see if CSS is going to work. No, that's all good. And we can move up and down like this so people can read our blog. And once again, maybe I don't think the yellow works for this particular page, so I'm going to go into title text and make that white. Also, I think maybe the contrast is playing with the words a little bit, so I'll go up to overlay, use a background overlay of black. Move that transparency down until I'm happy. Hit the tick button and we've got slide number 2. And this time I'm going to create a fresh slide. And this time I'm going to say, something else. We'll just say learn about us or something like that. And this time the button's going to be learn more, something like that. Who are we? Find out here. So we've got our learn about us page. And once again, I've decided I want to get another image in there. So I click image. I will stick with this one again. And the background, this time I'm going to go a little bit different. I'm going to choose this background image. I'll go with something like this. Now this is almost impossible to read because we've got this white image with really dark lines, white text. It's very difficult. So we're going to sort of look at how we can make that a little bit more legible. The black button is fine. What we need to do is go into design, into text, and we'll change the text color from light to dark. And now we have dark text color. Now what we can do as well is go back up. We can do the overlay again, maybe a background overlay of white, and we make that semi-transparent, but maybe not all the way. It's still a bit tough to read though. So we're going to use a text overlay this time. We're going to make this one white. We can keep it a solid white or even dial it back slightly as well. And you can actually set up a border radius so it's nice and round. And of course, one thing I should mention, here, if you want the buttons to go anywhere in particular, you do actually have to go to content. Under button link URL, pop the link to the page you want to go to. I'm just going to put a hash in there for the sake of this. But that's essentially how you can set that up. So, okay, I'm happy. I've got my 3 slides. You can see what we got here sort of working for us. So back to the full width slider settings. Now we can go in and play with these global settings a bit more. Now I'm actually going to sort of go to the bottom this time because we have animations. So we can have a fade. So when the slides come in, they fade in. Now I don't know if this works on all of them, but I can fold. So that way every time we go to a new slide, I'll let you go, that one just fades in. But the actual slideshow itself will fold in, or maybe it'll even slide in. And we can go from, say, the left and slide in that way. The fade's probably the most seamless, but it's just an option there you can explore. And we do want automatic animation. So when the animation happens, say every 3 seconds, so 3000. Now I'm not sure, let's continue slide on hover. Now, one thing to consider is that you can have these go for too long or not long enough. Like if I put 500 on this, it's gonna just cycle through way too quickly. 4000 is a good one as well. It gives you a chance. Now it just takes a moment to sort of catch up with the settings there. Yeah, it'll give you a chance to actually read each slide. So you can play with those animation settings and continue automatic slide on hover. I find almost every single one of my clients who doesn't have this turned on asks me to say, hey, can we get that moving? Whenever I hover over it, it stops. So it's worth having that on as well. Once again, you've got a few options here. Now spacing. At the moment, I feel like this is just incredibly too big. So I'm going to take the padding, I'm going to link these two settings up, and if I hit down, it's going to go to 0, and we're going to have this tiny slideshow. I can simply make it 100 pixels, and I get this nice tight little slideshow there. So that's another thing we can do is control the size on the global, on the full width slider settings. When you start messing with some of the spacing and these settings on the individual slides, anything that's going to possibly change the size or shape of the slideshow, you can have a few issues with that. So I like to always change the spacing on the full width slider settings and not the slide settings. But otherwise, everything else is pretty much there. We can work with the content width and set a few defaults there. So the max content width could be 58 pixels, which is, you know, ridiculous. Reset that. But you sort of get the idea. That's essentially how we create that slideshow in Divi. Now you can go on and continue to build the rest of your page underneath that. There's also other things in there, which I'm not going to go into, but you got a full width post slider. So that way, like I won't go into it entirely, but you can include posts on there and it'll just sort of automate the posts on your website. It needs a bit of setup, as you can see. It gets a bit, a bit funny looking. So if you want that as well, that's another option worth exploring. But once we're happy with this and we're happy with our page, we click this little circle at the bottom, we save, we publish. I'm not going to publish because this is just a video. I'm not actually wanting to publish this on my website, but I save that draft, I exit the visual builder, and if you've published it, it will be live. And now we have our slideshow. I can circle through. We've got our slideshow. So obviously your imagination is the limit here with what you can do with it, but there are so many abilities to control the look of your slideshow. You have access to all the Google fonts, all the color differences. It's just a really intuitive module in the Divi Builder / Divi theme. So I do encourage you to check that out. I will pop a link on the screen. Now this is an affiliate link if you decide to buy Divi. If you haven't bought it before, then obviously I do get a commission if you buy, but it makes no difference to your purchase price. I've literally built a ton of websites using Divi. I swear by it and use it more than any other thing. So otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like. If you want more videos like this on WordPress or Divi in particular, consider subscribing. It all helps to support the channel and means I can deliver more free information and tutorials and that kind of thing to you. And of course, any thoughts or questions, leave a comment below. Otherwise, have a great day and I hope to see you again next time.